one of the many things that the Torah does for us, especially at the beginning, is to try to give a sense of why things are the way that they are. My Bubby, Aleha Shalom, my grandmother, may she rest in peace, would occasionally say, and she was generally a very optimistic person, why are things so difficult? Why is life so difficult? And that's something that we wonder about. And so I'm going to begin with a word that I don't know if it ever appeared in the SATs, but it should. And the word is etiology. And what that means is the study of why things are the way that they are. So the Torah begins with a description that lets us know, why is it that people have to work so hard? Why is it that childbirth is so painful? Why are we mortal? Why don't we get to live forever like God? Why is there violence? The Hebrew word for violence that appears in Bereshit is Hamas. It's an interesting coincidence because in Arabic it means something very different, but in Hebrew the word for violence is Hamas. Why is that hardwired into the human condition, and why is that so much a part of life? So we could start there. We could start with all of the rationale. And certainly our people tell a story about a first couple who defied God's wishes and who ate of this fruit. And as a result of eating of the fruit, we were no longer immortal. We also had knowledge of perhaps why things are, knowledge of human relations. Snakes crawl on the ground, women give birth in pain, and working for a living is not easy, never easy. So all of that lays the groundwork, but that's not where the Torah stops. The Torah doesn't stop with the innate and organic pain and violence that are hardwired into reality. The Torah continues. And I want to share this morning, Shabbat Bereshit, 3 areas that the Torah sets out that provide us with a blueprint for how to live life that is joyful, that is impactful, that is even transformative. We do not need to stay with the violence and the pain as the essence of reality. We can transcend that reality. So the first element is the sheer variety of life. There is something incredibly transfixing about contemplating the variety that exists in the world. God says, "Tacheh haaretz deshe esev mazria zorea eitz pri osapri leminehu." Let the earth sprout vegetation, seed-bearing plants, fruit trees of every kind, and then swarms of living creature, birds that fly above the earth across the expanse of the sky, cattle, creeping things, wild beasts of every kind. The world is filled with magnificent variety and also quality of creation. And there are times when I am feeling weighed down by the violence and the trauma that exist within the world, and I just look around. I look up. I look at the variety of birds, the variety of trees. I am amazed at how magnificent this world is. So the first element that allows us to transcend the depths is just the sheer beauty and variety of living things. And the second element is our own intellectual curiosity. We are so unique in that we can contemplate and we can come up with a plan and we can come up with ways to try to make reality better. The first woman looks at the fruit and notices nechmad ha'etz lehaskil. It is beautiful to contemplate, lehaskil, The Hebrew word seichel, we use it to mean common sense, but it means capacity to think. Haskala was the enlightenment. It's all from the same root. And so she was saying that there is magic to be found in the sheer capacity to contemplate and to understand. And so here too, I think about what it means to face the world with intellectual curiosity. Children are innately curious. And if educators do their jobs correctly, they build on that curiosity. They don't dampen the innate, native, organic curiosity of small children. So that's the second element that allows us to transcend. And here's the third. The third is relationship. There is nothing more transformative, nothing that can allow us to be pulled out of whatever depths we find ourselves in than the loving relationships that we have with other people. So we have the first couple who we are told were able to find comfort in each other and were able to create a world together. And even after the first couple defy God's wishes, recognize that they are naked as a result of their newly found knowledge, God creates clothing for them. It's so sweet, the way that the Torah describes that God becomes a tailor, a dressmaker, and makes an outfit for the first couple so they don't have to be uncomfortably naked. That is a relationship that is a blueprint for how we can relate to each other. That's the third element. Now, before I conclude, I just want to reflect in the aftermath of the release of the final living hostages. And we pray and we advocate that all of the hostages will soon be released. We are finding out more and more stories about these individuals and about how it is that they managed to cope. So one of them, Rabbi, older than the other men with whom he was held captive, he wrote a book about his experiences. And one thing that he described was the agony of the sheer absence of being in contact with the real world. What it was not to see trees, not to see living things, to be cooped up and to be denied that. But he also spoke about how his own capacity to understand kept him sane in a situation where it was extremely difficult to maintain sanity. He would count steps, he would have a sense of mileage, and he would try, using his rational capacity, to make as much seder, as much order as he could in a situation in which he was being deliberately starved, not just physically, but also emotionally. And then the final elements, the elements of relationship, the way that he and the others that he was with, and of course, when they were kept alone, this was made infinitely more difficult, but the way that they supported and sustained each other, and the strength that they had knowing that the people that they loved were continuing to pray for them, this was the difference between life and death for these people. So we have a very profound example of what it means to be denied access to the variety of life, what it means to use our God-given capacity to make sense even during the most harrowing times, and how relationships are a lifeline. They are everything. Lo tov heyot ha'adam levado. It is not good for a person to be alone. That's right in this morning's parasha. And so, invoking the memory of my grandmother, indeed, there are many things in this world that are painful, and we can understand why they are so painful. But she surely also appreciated that we have the capacity to transcend. We have the capacity to continue to go on so that our lives and our world, notwithstanding the pain, can be tov me'od, can be very good indeed.